I finally got all the parts together that I decided I would need to build my new project, which is a styrofoam cutter. This is the piece of shelving that I had left over from when I was doing the house. The only problem I have is I really want my styrofoam cutter to be coming down in line with this edge, and the hinges that I have for this metal tube would be sticking out over the edge. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use a hot air gun to heat the end up of this part here and see if I can bend that down over the lip. It's pretty tough plastic, but I don't know, we'll see what happens. Now with the hot air gun I managed to bend it over, so that'll actually work quite fine. That's good enough. So I've cut this aluminium bar. I've cut that 4 pieces the same length. These pieces here will be used with these encapsulated sliders, so they join together. And so they slide, like one can slide against the other one. And the long bar is the length that I can make for the cut. So them two join to the sliders, like so, and the other ones are fastened to the board. I'll show you why later. Okay, one of the hardest parts I think so far is actually figuring out how to run the wires, because originally I was just going to make the whole ends live because these are insulated, they don't transfer any heat, so I was just going to make the whole things live. But as I may have to use a 240 volt supply, I don't really fancy that, so just going to try to work a way around getting power to both sides. It doesn't help that my hands are freezing cold. Oh, little puss. Let's see if it takes it. It might take it. What I've done is bored a couple of holes in this. This is the thing I'm going to use to join it. And if I can find find a hole. Should maybe start this again tomorrow when it's daylight, or a bit better daylight. I can go through here, and then this one just goes through this other side, back in. So that then goes, so it goes on to the other side. But not until I put it through here. Oh, you'll see what how it works when I've got a bit further on. This is kind of where the cable's got to go. What I want to do is take that out so far. If I'd had a bit more sense, I'd have put some shrink wrap on there before I fed the cables in, but it's not easy. Let's protect this. One has to be fed through here. Through here. And there's that goes on that side, that goes that way. So now you can see why the hole is further down, so it doesn't catch on that when it goes in. Just need give it a good bit of persuasion, gentle persuasion. Perfect. That goes through this long one. Road. Give it a little persuasion. Perfect. cold yet. The same again. Feed through one corner. And out the other. Or in the other, whichever. Once again, the gentle art of persuasion comes into it. This ABS plastic's great stuff. You can take quite a bit of beating. I suppose I could have heated the aluminium up as well, but it helped. Everything's very cold today. It's starting to look like something. I don't know what. And this goes down through here. No, it doesn't. Let's go through this one. No, I don't need them. Oh well. Yeah, extras. Down through this one. And that should be like so. Yep. That's all it needs. So the same way as I done the other one, resting on my foot so it doesn't cut the cable, and just gently persuade it to go. Looks good. Right. That's me got the cables run through for both sides. As these corners aren't exactly the strongest, plan on doing is putting L-irons on them just to give it a little bit extra support, make them a little bit extra strong, and to keep them 100% square. So I have little L-irons for these. Find the buggers. Little corner brackets. The thing I've got to be careful for is not nipping the cables at the same time. That wouldn't be a good one. Not a good idea. Do that one first. actually quite lucky because these cables, there's only one and that's quite a thin cable, and yeah, I can see it's going to be on the rod. Yeah, it's not caught. It's fine. Push that further around just now. It's away from the cable. As you see, it didn't work too good. It's not touched the cable. I will be checking the cables with a multimeter before I connect them. I'll do the same with this side. The reason why it's left in a loop here is so that can slide up and down without it pulling on the cables. I've put 2 holes in this one as well, so that obviously this cable doesn't have to be this long because it's only going to the converter. Transformer. That goes through here. This one. Through here. And then with the art of gentle persuasion again. Into there. And for this side isn't a problem, it doesn't have any cables going through it, so it just goes straight on. Like so. And I think I'm going to make that do it for today because I'm getting cold. Okay, weather's a wee bit warmer today, so I'm going to do a bit more on this foam cutter. This you can see I've now got the framework built up, and I managed to get the corner brackets on without catching the cables, which was quite good. These ends have to be persuaded to go further into the pipework, and then I have one more corner one. This is the ones that I used for in here. What I intend to do with this is separate this into 2 pieces, and then one of them will go in here and the other one on that side, and that's what the wire will be fastened to, because that's obviously that's plastic, so it's insulated. Okay, so I'm going to go on with that now. Okay, got the ends on, not fastened to the board yet, but next job is to make sure that the connections are done properly. Actually a bit dirty. Get it back a bit. This was wire I rescued from another job I was doing. It's not new wire, but it's fine. I'd like to have some more terminals, but this is what I've got. If you use what you've got, you'll never want. That's fine. Tip it back up inside. Well, just to say it doesn't really matter much, to be honest. I'll take it back up. That's it. It's a little bit bigger than I really wanted, so it has to go to the side. It's not going to be a problem. The reason I'm connecting it directly and I'm not putting the cutting wire on is I want to be able to keep the electrical connections tight and be able to change the cutting wire just by wrapping the new one around the end of the bolt and screwing that with another nut. Nice tight connection. And this side's different because this side has to go into a spring. I want that to connect onto the end of the spring and not onto here. So I'm going to find a spring. It should be enough. Put two of these on. Side by side. Those two. Perfect. But that's it, a little bit tight. Not tight enough. here, so it takes in the strain when the wire heats. Right. Just got to sit all into one piece and put the wire on. After I've done that, it's just a case of checking out the controller, whether it's going to work or whether I have to use 240. I'm hoping I don't have to. I'm hoping that one of the controllers that I've got will actually work. But it's quite a long cut. So we'll see. What we can do is see. Should work. Obviously it's holding because these bolts are a little bit tight at the bottom, but I have to make some sort of bracket up to hold this so that it'll stay in this position or any other angle. I can tighten it up more. Actually hold quite well, I think. A little bit tight at the side. That'll do. Once it's I expect it to be a little bit firmer than that. I may have to put, it's because it's so big. Oh, however, it'll work. And because this end here has the cutter on it, the connection on the springs, you can only start cutting from about here. This is why I have this one. That fastens on there. But I'll do that after I find out if it's working. This is the fun part. This is the cutter wire. That's from Amazon. It comes on this thing you put around it and it stops it from unwinding. Allegedly. That's what happens. Same kind of wire as what they have around toasters. You put a power through it and it heats up, but it doesn't actually burn out, allegedly. We'll soon find out. I'll start with the most difficult end first, I think. twice. I was thinking about using these on this as well, but it's just no way it'd work. It's far too thin. Now I need that so that it's actually tensioned. I would say that's fine. Colours. Okay, so I've kind of got it together, and I think I've got it working using that little transformer. It's direct from 240 volts. That's also why I didn't want to have the frame live. So the on parts is live is there and there, which would be very difficult to touch together. But it doesn't work on the 240 volts. Now the reason I made it so big is because that's the size these sheets come, and I want to be able to cut these sheets down if necessary. Now, I'm just going to drop the wire down on to the sheet. Lift a bit so I can get it straight. Of course you have to mark the sheet where you want to cut it. And then let's take up the voltage. Oh. And if you turn that the wrong way, the temperature goes very high, but that is a nice cut.
Yes, darling.
So the machine works.
You're a bloody genius, you are. You definitely need 2 or 3 lives.
I need to put a little, it's actually still quite tension. I need to put a little bit of oil in the tracks because they're actually catching. So when they're catching, it's not letting it run smooth.
They could be a bit
It
more
should run itself.
stable as well.
Yeah, it's because it's so long. But that side there is dropping down really quite nice on its own. This side needs some oil in it. So I have to oil the tracks. And of course you can set it to cut at angles. I need to make up a bracket for to be able to change the angle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, works quite well. What I intend to do is put a voltage gauge on it so that I know what voltage it's optimum for running it, and then I'll set the control to that. Once the control's set to the optimum, then I'll just put an on-off switch instead of having to change the voltage. So it's more or less, well, it's able to use it, which is what I needed, so that's fine. Stop.